Honorable Men Discord. Kanye West, aka Ye, is banned from performing in the United States. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern time. So let's go straight to it. It's been a while since I've seen any posts from Kanye, except for his apology letter, which I'll get into in a few moments. When I was looking at his social, the only thing he has posted at the time of this recording is some type of photo shoot that his wife had. And her name is Bianca Censora. So he's just put, "So proud of my wife." That's actually the only thing that I see right now on his Instagram page at the time of this recording. But why exactly is he banned from performing in the United States? Well, I'll let Torre speak on his banning from U.S. Shows. So let's get to that.
Did you know that Kanye West has been quietly banned from performing in America? King Green explained the game to me on Rap Latte. There's two companies that control every significant touring venue in America, Live Nation and AEG. Both of them decided to ban Kanye from performing over the schmatzy stuff. Kanye hasn't toured in America since 2016, and it looks like that's because there's no venue that he could book. He can't get Live Nation or AEG to let him book stadiums or arenas so that he cannot tour. You can't just go around these companies, not in America. If Live Nation and AEG are against you, you can't tour in America, and that's where he is. There's a reason why he hasn't toured in America since 2016. Kanye's got a new album coming out in March. Generally, by this point in the year, there would be an American tour scheduled. What do we have right now? 2 dates at a big space in Mexico City in late January, that just passed, and a date in Italy in July. And maybe a date in India this year, maybe. That's it. Nothing in America, the biggest touring market there is. Yes, Kanye can make a lot from those international dates. He's going to get a much larger guarantee from the promoter because he so rarely goes to Mexico City or Italy. But not being able to do New York, LA, Chicago, Houston, etc. is costing him a ton of money. I was told back in the Watch the Throne days when they did that tour with Jay-Z, they were profiting $1 million a show. It's a glaring absence that Kanye has no tour date scheduled in America at this time. It's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he can't. Beside losing the Adidas deal, this may be the biggest financial penalty he's paid for the whole schmatzy thing. Did you know that Kanye West...
I hope everyone that's watching this episode is taking notes. Two companies, which he mentioned, control whether or not you're able to perform in a large venue, an arena. I think that sounds like a monopoly. It's almost crazy to believe that someone at the level of Kanye West, with the finances he has to find events overseas as opposed to in the country he was born and raised in. It sounds unbelievable. I mean, so he couldn't on his own just reach out to the venues and coordinate something. He can't have he can't create his own team to put that together. Very interesting. It's listen, I'm not saying he's a perfect individual. I'm going to get into one of the clips I have up here speaking on mental illness, mental health awareness. But it's one of those things where it's like, all right, so whatever happened to freedom of speech? And I'm not agreeing with all the things that Kanye West has said, nor do I agree with everything any man says. We're all imperfect people. We're all imperfect human beings. and there should be some type of grace shown. I don't understand. At the end of the day, at the very core of what he does music. He's an artist. He's not a politician. So to put those type of restraints on someone who's just an artist, and last time I checked, artists express themselves, whether it be in paintings, whether it be directors, actors, musicians. It's all about expression. So here he is as an artist with his expression being suppressed because of things that he said. Again, things that I don't necessarily agree with, but this seems extreme. And for Torre to mention that his last time performing was 2016, that sounds crazy to me, considering his catalog. I mean, we're talking about someone, last time I checked, has 24 Grammy Awards, 24 Grammy Awards, one under Jay-Z. And that just sounds crazy to me. But I'm going to go into the next video.
And how did Kanye West get banned from performing in America before president? How? Ye has been banned from performing in the States because he was speaking out against, albeit maybe not always in the best way, but that's what he was doing. He recently shared a letter. He purchased a whole section and did his apology. And I realized that apology is because he cannot perform in the States. Some people will be like, oh, good. But me, after learning what imperialism, that's what that is. If you're an artist and you speak up and out against certain powers that exist, they will ban you. They will ostracize you. And I don't know why anybody would be in agreement with Kanye West being banned from simply performing in the States.
I just said that, and I agree wholeheartedly. And let me just say this. I did not watch this full video from this young lady until this recording. I just saw the first few minutes, and I said it sounded like she was heading in a good enough direction to post this. Now, I agree with what she said. Freedom of speech is not free, people. It comes at a cost. You have to be very wise on how you choose to address certain things, because it will come back to haunt you. And also, especially, I'm speaking from a place of someone who has a channel. I'm aware of some of the things that I put out can be used against me at a later time if I speak on something in a negative fashion, which is why I always try to address things from a humanistic standpoint, if I'm saying that word correctly. From a human standpoint, let me just say that. I always try to be non-biased in some of the things I say. Now, some things that I do cover, I stand on certain things that I say based on my personal opinion, sometimes based on facts. Most of the time, I like to believe it's based on facts. But with that being said, Kanye West is an artist. Like I said, he's an artist. He's a flawed artist. He's one that we know throughout his career he's been dealing with mental health issues. And I want to say it really started to escalate after the passing of his mother. If you watch that timeline from how he came out wearing polo to where he is now, with some of the, what some may say, bizarre acts that he's done, we can tell that not to mention just that, you got to understand, with the success and the money, I tell you all the time, money's the root of all evil. You could agree to disagree, but money's the root of all evil, especially a large amount of money. After a while, after buying all those things that you thought you needed, what else is there to do? You start to lose yourself. Not to mention, you're no longer are surrounded with people that can relate to you necessarily when you make large sums of money, because the majority of the people out there in the world are struggling or living check to check. So you can't even imagine what it's like to be someone of the stature of Kanye West financially, and then especially to be at that level and you're still able to be blocked by not being able to perform in the country where you live and reside. But let's continue.
So I was asked how I felt about Kanye West's apology, and I'm going to share my somewhat nuanced perspective on this as a person who grew up with a parent who was clinically diagnosed with bipolar disorder. The interesting thing about his apology is that the beginning of his letter, where he described having bipolar disorder, he described mania, he described the moments where he rejected his diagnosis, that is completely spot on, which shows me that he has a level of self-awareness now that he's probably stable, that he didn't have in the moments where he was in deep mania, right? I think something that everybody has to understand about bipolar disorder is that it is a mental health disorder. If you had a physical disorder, you would have to study it. You may not understand it all when you first get it, but you have to learn your body again. It's the same thing for the mind. He's learning his mind again, especially in light of this diagnosis. And yes, a part of the diagnosis, a part of having bipolar is going through bouts of denial. My parent personally would have moments where they would accept the diagnosis, they would take their medication and be fine. But once they got stable with medication, they would often start to feel like they were fine and nothing was wrong with them and they were healed, and they would start to reject the diagnosis. They would deny that there was a diagnosis at all, right? That's a part of being bipolar. So I love that he's functioning in this level of self-awareness now. I also love that he took accountability and he apologized. However, unfortunately, it will likely happen again because that too is a part of bipolar disorder. There are phases, there are extremes in the poles, and they often function at these extremes if they are not finding a way, whether through medication or holistic methods, whatever works for them. If they're not finding a way to be stable, they will function at the extremes of either severe depression or grandiosity, depending on the type of bipolar they're diagnosed with. When he is in mania, he is going to exhibit manic behavior, which sometimes looks like some of the things he was doing. And I say it's likely going to happen again because it may not look like being anti-Semitic or anti-Black. It may not look like that, but we will likely see him manic again because he has a mental wellness concern. He has a mental health disorder. If you had a physical health disorder like an autoimmune disease, you might have flares. He's going to have flares. It's just a part of who he is. And I love that he is able to acknowledge that and he's aware of that. So I think his apology is valid, yes. But do I think that this will never happen again? Absolutely not. Because it happening again is a part of his disorder. So unfortunately, this is not one of those apologies where we can expect change behavior because mania is a part of who he is and how he flows and shows up in this world. We may not see the behavior show up exactly how it showed up this last time, but mania will likely happen again, especially if he goes off his medication. So do I think his apology was good and well thought out and introspective and self-aware? Absolutely. But do I think he's going to change and be different? No. So
First and foremost, let me say, well said by Queen Poe, the Queen Poe. And I think that's the best way to end this video because he was very well spoken and with her own battles, as she mentioned, she has the ultimate insight. That was one of the things I was going to bring up. The question is whether or not people in the future will have grace and forgive Kanye West more than once, because just from putting out the statement doesn't mean this will be the last time we hear something or see something that might be deemed outlandish. And will he be ostracized again? Will he be banned from performing again? Further, will they further his ban? First of all, how long is his ban for? Now, Tory reported on the two companies that control whether or not you perform at a venue. What is not concrete is which out of the two, if not both of them, banned him. Now, I could assume maybe both banned him. Maybe he tried one and he got denied. He tried another, he got denied. When was the ban? What I'd like to know is when was the ban and when will the ban be lifted? All right, since he hasn't performed since 2016. But I will attach the statement. This is the statement right here. All right, as a matter of fact, let me just minimize my window so you can take a look at the statement that he posted. Now it's almost a shame because you see he had to post this after at one point speaking as though he can't be stopped because of his finances. And you could say he wasn't on his medication at the time when he spoke about that. But if you do remember, he had a rant where he was talking about how he's in a position to speak freely. I don't know if it was during his interview with DJ Academics in the hotel or if it was one of the Drink Champs interviews, but there was several interviews where he said some things that were unfavorable to a particular group. Now, with that being said, it's amazing how even after the photos emerged of him sitting down with some I want to say religious leaders and apologizing, he's still banned. Because you have photos of him apologizing to specific religious leaders or religious members, and then you have this statement, and it seems as though it's not enough. And it's almost similar to the let me pull myself back up. It's almost similar to the episode that I did when I was speaking on Regina King when she had that sit down with Jennifer Gardner. And if you didn't watch that episode, I'm going to tag it to the end of this if I remember. But Jennifer Gardner in a sit down with Regina King, they were guests at an interview with Chelsea Handler. And Chelsea Handler asked Regina King a question, and Jennifer Gardner decided to follow up with a question and follow up with a very, what I put as odd question to almost humble Regina King from being so confident in herself. And why am I bringing up that particular episode to this episode? I'm bringing that up to the takeaway from this episode should be the moment you start to feel like you're bigger than the program or the people that are in control, you're going to have a moment where they make sure they humble you or attempt to humble you. In the case of the Regina King episode, I believe the intent of Jennifer Gardner was to humble Regina King. Okay, and the same thing's being done here with Kanye West. When Kanye West started to think that he was bigger than the program, bigger than the machine, he's been humbled. He's been banned. He's been pretty much brought down to his knees, figuratively, by the elite, those in power, to find himself writing this overly elaborate letter. Does he need to say this? If you follow Kanye West, you would know about his car accident from when he got into the music industry. Did he need to mention that again? I don't think he needed to, but he chose to. Did someone help him write this? It's possible. I don't ever believe that most of these entertainers actually sit down and write their own letters. Not saying that they're incapable of writing their own letters, but I really don't believe that they actually sit down and write their own letters. But this is a perfect example of the industry making sure he dropped to his knees and repent to the industry for saying what they felt were things that were foul and derogatory in nature. Now, again, I'm not agreeing with the things that Kanye West has said, but he clearly is not functioning as someone who is has a healthy mental capacity. But what's your thoughts on all of this? As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I look forward to March because I'm personally a huge Kanye West fan, and I really love his music. I love his production, and I love his artistry. I love his creative delivery. I think he's one of the most creative artists, if not the greatest artist in the rap genre, and I stand on that. I think it's well deserved that he has 24 Grammy Awards. And I really look forward to seeing and listening to the rest of the Bully album, which right now is an EP on Apple Music. It only has 5 tracks. And this is another thing, man. The guy, his rollout is always interesting, because at one point it was only 3 songs, and then he added another 2. And if you pay attention to the track list, it has songs 1, 2, 3, 12, and 13. So he's feeding you baby food until the album. So this would just be, I think he's gonna stop here. I think he has this as an EP, and then on March, I want to say March 20th is when the album will drop. March 20th, that's what it says at the bottom, March 20th. Hopefully it doesn't get pushed back. I love the artwork of the cover. I think that's his daughter's face, by the way. But she's also working on an album for her also. But that's all I have on this. As always, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and as always, stay honorable.